के बारे में। अभी हम डिस्कस करेंगे फ्रीडम के बारे में। तो इसका सिंपली सा हम मतलब निकालते हैं कि एब्सेंस ऑफ कॉन्स्ट्रेंट्स को हम फ्रीडम बोलते हैं। Freedom is a liberty to do whatever a person likes to do, or a positive power of doing and enjoying the worth of work, that is known as freedom. Freedom has two aspects. Freedom के दो aspects होते हैं. एक तो होता है positive freedom. It refers to those rights which do not reach any harm to others if enjoyed, as well as essential for an individual's development. ये वो राइट्स होते हैं जिससे किसी को कोई भी मतलब हार्म नहीं पहुंचता और इंडिविजुअल का डेवलपमेंट होता है। तो ये पॉजिटिव फ्रीडम तो ज़रूरी होती है। नेगेटिव फ्रीडम इम्प्लाइज द एब्सेंस ऑफ एनी रेस्ट्रेंट्स। नेगेटिव फ्रीडम का मतलब ये होता है कि एब्सेंस ऑफ एनी रेस्ट्रेंट्स ऑन फ्रीडम। ठीक है, फ्रीडम के ऊपर कोई भी रोक टोक ना होना। ये ओंग सन सू की जो थी, इनकी एक बुक है फ्रीडम फ्रॉम फियर। फ्रीडम इज कंसिडर्ड वैल्यूएबल बिकॉज इट अलाउज अस टू मेक चॉइसेस एंड टू एक्सरसाइज आवर जजमेंट। फ्रीडम इसलिए जरूरी होती है, इट परमिट्स द एक्सरसाइज ऑफ इंडिविजुअल्स पावर ऑफ रीजन एंड जजमेंट। उसके बाद फ्रीडम कैन बी क्लासिफाइड एज, फ्रीडम को हम क्लासीफाई कर सकते हैं एज नेचुरल फ्रीडम, इकोनॉमिक फ्रीडम एंड रिलीजियस फ्रीडम, इंडिविजुअल फ्रीडम, इस तरीके से। नेल्सन मंडेला ने ऑटोबायोग्राफी लिखी थी लॉन्ग वॉक टू फ्रीडम। Restrictions on the freedom of individuals may come from domination and external controls. Such restrictions may be imposed by a government through the laws which embody the power of rulers over the people and which may have the backing of force। ठीक है, अब सेल्फ रिगार्डिंग एक्शंस वो होते हैं नो इंटरफेरेंस, मतलब इसमें जो है सेल्फ रिगार्डिंग एक्शंस जो होते हैं वो सिर्फ हमारे लिए होते हैं। इसमें किसी और के जो है वो एक्शंस या राइट्स कुछ लेना देना नहीं होता है इसका। जॉन स्टुअर्ट मिल ने जो है ऑन लिबर्टी बुक लिखी थी। एंड एक होते हैं अदर रिगार्डिंग सेक्शंस। तो ये क्या हो सकते हैं, इंटरफियर हो सकते हैं। लाइक इफ़ यू आर टेकिंग एनी वंस पिक, अगर हम कितने किसी की पिक ली, ठीक है, तो ये उसकी प्राइवेसी जो है हमने उसको हार्म किया है, तो ये अदर रिगार्डिंग एक्शंस हो गए। सेल्फ रिगार्डिंग एक्शंस है हम एंजॉय कर रहे हैं, तो ये सिर्फ हमसे ही रिलेटेड है। सो द हार्म कॉज्ड मस्ट बी सीरियस। फॉर द माइनर हार्म Mill recommends only social disapproval from the other residents of the building is required। ये बस एग्जाम्पल है, like if anyone is using DJ after like night also and anyone is getting disturbance due to that, maybe student or any old person, तो बस दूसरे रेजिडेंट से उसको ये बोल देंगे कि हाँ भाई बंद कर दो, मतलब मना कर दें, तो दैट इज़ ओनली मतलब मोर देन इनफ। ठीक है, इसमें पुलिस को इन्वॉल्व करने की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है। द हार्म कोज्ड मस्ट बी सीरियस। फॉर माइनर हार्म मील रिकमेंड्स ओनली सोशल डिसअप्रूवल फ्रॉम द अदर रेजिडेंट्स ऑफ द बिल्डिंग, दे शुड नॉट इन्वॉल्व द पुलिस इन दैट मैटर। ओके, तो ये था हार्म प्रिंसिपल। The existence of the minimum area of the non-interference that human nature and human dignity need an area where the person can act unobstructed by others। ठीक है, various safeguards have been provided for freedom, that is democratic setup, equal rights for all, economic security, constitutional provisions, etc. Freedom of expression requires non-interference or should not be restricted because it is a fundamental value to be possessed by the people. Though a number of times the demands have been raised to ban the books, films, articles, journals, etc. ये सभी क्या है, मतलब फ्रीडम से रिलेटेड जो है वो चीज़ें होती रहती हैं। उसके बाद बैनिंग इज एन ईजी सोल्यूशन फॉर द शॉर्ट टर्म टू मीट द इमीडिएट डिमांड, बट इट इज़ वेरी हार्मफुल फॉर एनी लॉन्ग टर्म perspectives or perspectives of freedom in a society, because once one begins to ban, then one develops a habit of banning। उसके बाद है constraints of different kind thus exist and we are subject to them in different situations। While reflecting on such situations, we need to realize that when constraints are backed by organized social, religious or cultural authority or by the mights of the state, they restrict our freedom in ways that are difficult to fight against। ठीक है, तो ये एक मतलब वोल्टायरे की स्टेटमेंट है। आई डिसअप्रूव ऑफ व्हाट यू आर सेइंग बट आई विल डिफेंड टू डेथ योर राइट टू से इट। मतलब मैं एग्री नहीं करता कि आप जो भी बात कह रहे हो, लेकिन मैं इस चीज़ की प्रोटेक्शन हमेशा करूँगा जो आपका बोलने का राइट है, कि आप सही बोलो गलत बोलो, आपको जो है बोलने का हक है। ये वोल्टायर की स्टेटमेंट है। ओके, सो यहाँ पे जो क्वेश्चन बनते हैं सॉरी, इस चैप्टर से रिलेटेड वो है व्हाट इज मेंट बाय द फ्रीडम एंड इज देयर एनी रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन फ्रीडम फॉर इंडिविजुअल्स एंड फ्रीडम फॉर द नेशन। क्या इसमें कोई जो है मतलब रिलेशनशिप होता है? तो इफ अ नेशन इज फ्री every individual of it will be free to enhance their creativity and capabilities. Okay, and the development of a nation depends on the cooperation, creativity and capabilities of individuals which can be exercised in the absence of external constraints. उसके बाद a free society enables all its members to develop their potentials with the minimum of social constraints. Though no society can be imagined without the absence of constraints, but it is necessary to determine whether it is acceptable or justified. Social constraints are necessary to be examined through debates, discussions between individuals and society. ठीक है, उसके बाद नेक्स्ट जो क्वेश्चन है वो ये है कि व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द नेगेटिव एंड पॉजिटिव कंसेप्शन ऑफ द लिबर्टी। व्हेन वी थिंक अबाउट द नेगेटिव कंसेप्शन ऑफ लिबर्टी, our attitude implies the absence of restraints and the right to do whatever one likes. But this is not the real meaning of liberty. The poor shall then always be मतलब then poor shall always be at the mercy of the rich. इस केस में तो ऐसा हो जाएगा powerful shall dominate the powerless and everyone shall bow before the most powerful in the society. Liberty shall be enjoyed as long as the powerful wishes that to be enjoyed. Such a conception of liberty is now neither acceptable nor desirable. The absolute liberty must be limited by the law. Okay, उसके बाद है positive liberty. So positive liberty, according to this liberty, lies in the removal of hindrances. According to Green, state should hinder upon hindrances. We are living in a society which is divided into two great halves. On the one hinder the rich and the other the poor, or one side are exploited and on the other are exploited. In such a society, unless there is an authority to check the actions of those who have grown strong, existence shall be difficult for those who are weak and poor. पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी की अगर हम बात करें तो पॉजिटिव लिबर्टी देयरफॉर implies and is meant to be understood as liberty in which adequate facilities are available for each section of the society to live and enjoy socially desirable rights. It is the freedom of not only a few rich people but for many, or rather for the common masses. The liberty should be such that any individual or section of society does not stand in the process of the others, or it may be or it may be said that liberty implies that the people have freedom to do whatever is permissible under the laws. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट जो है वो ये है what is meant by social constraints are constraints of any kind necessary for enjoying the freedom. So meaning of social constraints, freedom does not mean the absence of restraints. Freedom can be enjoyed only in the presence of social constraint. According to M. Catchney, freedom is not the absence of all restraints, but rather the substitution of rational ones for the irrational. उसके बाद नेक्स्ट है अकॉर्डिंग टू लास्की, लिबर्टी मीन्स द एब्सेंस ऑफ रेस्ट्रेंट्स अपॉन द एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ दीज सोशल कंडीशंस which in modern civilizations are the necessary guarantee of individual happiness. Social constraints are not always against liberty. Reasonable constraints are the safeguards of liberty. Only the reasonable restrictions curb liberty. Social constraints must be there if we are to live together in society. ठीक है, उसके बाद man is a social animal but man is selfish too. There must be social constraints to regulate their conduct. Now Deepa Mehta, a filmmaker, was interested in making a film on the condition of widows of Varanasi. However, she was not allowed because there was a strong protest from a section of the polity who felt that it would bring a bad name to India. Similarly, the book Ramayana, retold by Aubrey Manon, and the Soltanic Versailles verses by Salman Rushdie was banned after protest from some sections of society. And the film The Last Temptation of Christ and the play Me Nathuram Bodle were also banned after protests. उसके बाद next जो है वो क्या है? What is the role of the state in upholding freedom of its citizens? In a modern democratic state, freedom of the individual is protected by the state. But according to anarchists, individualists, pluralists, and syndicates, the state is a big hurdle in the way of individual liberty. The maximum use of sovereign authority is bound to decrease the liberty of the individuals, and the people in the state are to function in accordance with the laws of the state, and it results in curtailment of individual liberty. But most of the modern thinkers are of the view that liberty and state are not opposed to each other, rather they are correlated. The state makes the laws as that the citizens may have no hindrance to act as he should for his own good and well-being of the society. Liberty cannot exist without law. The supreme power of the state is expressed through the laws, and laws protect the liberty of the individuals, and the laws of the state enhance the liberty of the individual. According to Ricci, law is the condition of liberty. Reasonable restrictions are imposed on the actions of the individuals through laws, and it helps in extending liberty to everybody. Thus, the state is the real guardian of liberty. And what is meant by freedom of expression, and what is, in your opinion, would be reasonable? Restrictions on the freedom, give examples. So, one of the issues that are considerable to the minimum area of non interference is freedom of expression. Freedom of expression is a fundamental value, and for that, society must be willing to bear some inconvenience to protect it from the people who want to restrict it. Thinker या फिर philosopher of France, Voltaire statement क्या है? I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to death your right to say it. Okay? उसके बाद नेक्स्ट जो क्वेश्चन है वो ये है कि हाउ डीपली वी आर कमिटेड टू दिस फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन. Reasonable restrictions on freedom of expression. Freedom of expression is a fundamental value, and for that, society must be willing to bear some inconvenience to protect it from the people who want to restrict it. At various times, there have been demands to ban books, plays, films, or academic articles in research journals. Let us think about this demand to ban the books in the light of our discussion so far, which sees freedom as the making of choices. Where is the distinction made between negative and positive liberty? Where we recognize the need for justifiable constraints, but these have to be supported by people, procedures, and important moral arguments. So, this chapter was related to the freedom. Thank you so much for watching and stay connected.